Today on the Matt and Ann Show, we welcome four-time All-Star Greg Vaughn. Welcome to the show, Greg.
Hey, thank you guys for having me, man. I appreciate it.
No doubt. I want to get into it. MLB's in a lockout. Do you think it's going to end before the season starts, or are we going to have a full-fledged work stoppage come April?
Well, I think, I've been through my fair share of those. I think it'll end. I think, all the sports, I mean, especially with, that's our way of getting away now. And I think, with what's going on in society, you know what I mean? I think baseball will find a way to figure it out.
Awesome.
I couldn't you imagine yourself playing in a pandemic right now?
I couldn't hear.
Could you imagine yourself playing in the pandemic right now?
No, it'd be strange. I think, we all have a job to do. I think I would have to make adjustments to just like anyone else would, and hopefully this pandemic will be over soon. But, it's a lot of stuff that clubhouses have to, prepare themselves differently. Players, certain guys can only be around, certain number of guys can only be together, so I think, hopefully, like I said, man, we find a cure to all this stuff. And, I believe in vaccinations. I'm vaccinated. I've had my booster, and not once did it ever say I wasn't going to get COVID, but I did get it, and it wasn't as bad as, who knows what would happen if I wasn't vaccinated. And, like I said, I love being around my family and family members, and I'm going to do what I have to do to be able to enjoy them and do the things without, our life's already changing. So why make it much more difficult by not being vaccinated? And that's just my opinion. Everyone else has the right to do what they want to do. But for me, I want people to be safe. I want us to try to get back to some type of normalcy. And so I believe in the shot, and I got my booster, and hopefully, we can move on and get past this.
In 1998, you had one of your best seasons. You hit 50 home runs, and the San Diego Padres went to, I think, their second World Series. Could you tell us about that season? Because that's one of the biggest seasons ever in baseball. Obviously, McGwire broke the home run record for a season that year. So could you tell us a little bit about that season for you?
It was magical because, I think as a player, or as a kid, you all, grow up, say, I'm going to play in the World Series and I'm going to hit home runs, and I'm, that's our dream, or I'm going to score touchdowns, or I'm going to become a doctor, lawyer. And, mine was all of those. So it started in the spring training. We knew we had a special group, like I said, we had a lot of leaders. We had a great leader in Bruce Bochy. We had Wally Joyner, Cam, we had the Tony Gwynn, rest in peace. And we, from Mark Sweeney to, Kivio Bears. I just believe that was a team that everyone actually truly played for the name on the front, and everything else took care of itself, and we were a tight-knit group. When we landed, we'd go straight from the bus. We wouldn't even go in the hotel, really. We go straight to a restaurant. There'd be 24 of us eating together. You know what I mean? Or there'd be 20 of us eating together. We did everything together. We ate breakfast together. We hung out. We enjoyed being around each other. You know what I mean? So, but we also held each other accountable. And, one of our goals it was so simple was, I remember Wally in spring training said, how about if everybody just try to get on base twice? He didn't say get 2 hits. He didn't say hit 2 home runs. He said, hey, if we just keep it that simple and everybody just try to get on base twice, good things will happen for the team. And every day was somebody different. You know what I mean? And like I said, up and down that list, and even, guys coming up from AAA. And it was just magical. It was magical for the city of San Diego. It was magical for us. For me to be around a group of guys, a group of men that were like family. You hear the term that you always spend so much time, with your teammates that they're family. But we truly were a family. We truly did like each other. You know what I mean? And Kevin Towers orchestrated and put together, some pieces that we needed at the break and different times of the year, and everything fell into place. But those guys that came in was a testament. They bought into what we were trying to do. And, our goal was to bring the city of San Diego a World Series championship.
A lot like that year, a lot of people thought that the Padres this year were going to be that team that made it back to the World Series. Obviously, they have Tatis, Machado. They added a bunch of pitchers, Darvish, Snell. What do you think went wrong?
Hey, man, I think it's just sports. You know what I mean? Yesterday I had Georgia, over Alabama just because I had a feeling. That's why we play the games. You know what I mean? Who would have thought that the Colts would have lost to Jacksonville in the playoffs? We would play the game. That's why we play the games. It's just one of those things that, their main guy, when he went out with those shoulder. I mean, he's more than just a great player. He's their energy. He's their everything, not taking anything away from the other players that you just named. Because Machado, I mean, the man plays 58 every single year, and he gets crap all the time. And he's probably, one of the top 2 third basemen in all of baseball.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where, once Junior got hurt, things didn't go their way. And, Snell's going, he's going to be the Snell of old. It's different, man. When you get traded and you come in, you're trying not to step on anybody else's toes. You're trying to get adjusted. You're trying to, just fit in. And as the season progressed, you've seen how he started becoming that Cy Young guy he was before. And I think this year is going to be a big year for them. It's going to, this is probably going to be another good year. But, the West and the National League, you got the Dodgers right across the way. It's a tough division. And, who pictured the Giants, growing up, that, that's my favorite team, being a Northern California kid. And, they're picked to win 66 games and they end up winning 106. You know what I mean? So,
do you think they could do that again this year too? Do you think they're for real, or was that a 1-year thing?
Hey, man, if I was that smart, I would go. I spend half my time in Vegas. I just run right to one of those casinos and lay everything I have on it. You know what I mean? Like you never know, man. Sports are tough because it's just so much more than just people having good seasons. My old college coach at University of Miami, Ron Fraser said, "I'd rather be lucky than good." You need a lot of luck too. You need the balls and the calls to go your way. You need, guys to stay healthy. You need, your main guys to do what they're supposed to do. So there's a lot of things that have to happen for you to win. And you look at the Bulls and you look at the Jeter with the Yankees and all those guys, man. To be able to do with the dynasties, to be able to do what they did for so long and so many years, it's crazy. You know what I mean? Or the Golden State Warriors. I mean, it's just crazy how, the guys they have around them, the men that they're going out there with and competing, that core group stayed together for a long time. You had a couple of pieces, but for the most part, it wasn't fire sales after seasons were over. They didn't clean house. Those guys came in together. Those guys believed in one another, and that core group worked and knew each other better than anything, because you need to know what to expect and what your teammates are going to do. And, like I said, you need to know what makes everyone go, what makes everyone tick, so to speak. And like I said, man, I never got to plan a dynasty team, but, one of my biggest regrets was not only being the first guy to ever hit 50 home runs and get traded, but also not getting another chance with those group of men to go back out there and try to accomplish that feat that we fell short of.
With that being said, do you have a favorite moment in your career?
Do I have a favorite moment? I think my favorite moment in my career was, of course, the first day getting called up. You know what I mean? That, you know, a year and a half after you leave college, you're in the big leagues, and it's kind of crazy. You're sitting here watching all these guys on TV and idolizing them. The next thing you know, you're playing with them or playing against them. I think I have a few. I have and when I mean that, I mean they're all my favorite, but I have a few. I think hitting. I had a month and a half being stuck on number 49, and I hit number 50 on the 0-2 pitch the last game. I went in the tunnel and basically cussed myself out and said, "Dummy, you know what? 49 is actually a pretty good year." So, you had a month and you had a month and a half to do it. But all of a sudden, I got a 0-2 breaking ball, and not only watching Davey Lopes at first base, the excitement on his face, and then Tim Flannery as I hit third base. But once I turned to third to go to home, it was like the Little League World Series, when all your teammates ran out on the field. My whole teammate, we were in Arizona, they ran, so they wanted to share that moment, and they were just as happy for me and excited for me as I was. And also a couple other moments where, hitting 2 home runs in game 1 of the World Series and being in the dugout with my oldest son, Corey. And, you got Spike Lee, you got Chris Rock, you got Denzel, and being able, with Tony Gwynn, being able to talk and chop it up with those guys, and then them acknowledging your work, when you cross home plate, you give a little glance this way, because I know where my family was sitting.
Yeah.
And you see Denzel, Chris Rock, you know what I mean? It's it. It's pretty special. And to play well at home, against whether it was the A's or the Giants, to come home and, depending on what league I was, to be able to play good at home. I was fortunate enough to always have some success at home. So, those are my favorite moments, because there's nothing, like I said, my village, it wasn't just, it was my airport Little League, it was my Legion coach, it was my mother, my grandmother, my uncles, all the coaches, all the, the principal, the counselor, the mentors. There were a lot of people that invested time with me, and they look like me. They, all different nationalities and race and backgrounds, and they were excited for me. So to come home and to be able to do that in front of them was special also.
You're from Sacramento. Do you ever see them get an expansion team? They're obviously the capital of California, but they only have one team in the Kings.
It's such a big baseball town. I could see it, but with the, I spend half my time in Vegas. I'm in Vegas now at my home in Vegas. With the things that they're doing in Vegas and how aggressive and the way they move out here, most likely the A's or the Rays are going to be here within the next year, or if not sooner. You know what I mean? I just don't think in the state of California,
1,000 or 10,000 right now.
Sorry?
Isn't the minor league team in Las Vegas averaging 10,000 fans?
Yeah, they have a beautiful new stadium in Summerlin. But I can tell you, Wrigley Field back home in Sacramento too. I mean, we were out drawing the A's, and it's sad for the city of Oakland. They're going to lose 3 major teams, and that's a lot of jobs, and that's on the economy. I mean, that's tough and hard on people who are born and raised there and depended on those, those jobs.
Yeah.
But like I said, I just don't think the city of Sacramento, and I'm from there, and I'm proud to be from 916 for life. We just don't move aggressive enough. We talk a lot. But same class, KJ. I mean, props to him for being able to move like he did to keep the Kings there. But California, we're a little bit more laid back, and it takes us too long to make decisions to do something. You know what I mean? And Vegas is booming, and the economy's crazy here, and so, like I said, even with soccer, we have some of the best sports fans around, and we have a chance for expansion team, and then that fell through. It's just hard for us. Like I said, man, being in California, it frustrates me sometimes because we move too slow, and we're the capital. And I wish we would find ways to make it a capital city, so to speak.
And when you go back a little bit, going to when you got drafted, was there a team that you wanted to go to, or you didn't really care where you went?
Was there a team you wanted to be drafted by?
No, hey, of course, I think everyone wants to play at home, but I've heard how tough it is. So San Francisco or Oakland, I always think, like I said, man, I think the guy upstairs has a plan, and he wanted me to go where I went, and it was perfect for me. You know what I mean? Be able to go to Milwaukee and be in that organization and be around one of my best friends, Gary Sheffield, and the same draft, and live together, late Darrell Hamilton, all of us in the same draft, to play in that minor league system, and then have Mike Felder, Glenn Braggs, and, to locker next to Robin Yount, who was like a big brother to me.
Yeah.
And you have Paul Molitor, Jim Gantner, you have Dave Parker, Willie Randolph. So he put me where he wanted to put me. I think it's always a dream to want to play for your hometown team. But like I said, I just wanted to play. I wanted the opportunity to get drafted, and I was fortunate enough to go in the first round and play in the big leagues. So I have no regrets. Like I said, the only regret, it's not winning the World Series. People don't understand how hard that is. And I remember when I was 22 years old, Robin Yount said to me, because they went one time to the World Series, during his career, and I was like, yeah, there's no way, man. And you can't play this long. Everybody goes to the World Series. And he was right. We take it for granted what it really takes to get to that special place and have the opportunity to try to be world champion and be the best in the world for that particular year.
Absolutely. You were just talking about being drafted by the Brewers. They had a great year this year. Obviously, they fell short in the first round this year. But what do you think about their future? And Yelich has had 2 off years. Do you think he's going to be back to his MVP form in 2022?
Yeah, well, once again, it's something that I stated earlier. It comes down to everything having to roll. The ball has to roll the right way, and unfortunately, he's a tremendous talent, but he had back problems. And you try to play baseball with a back problem, it's tough. People don't understand how hard it is to do already. It's the only job in the world based on failure that you can have and get paid for. You know what I mean? It's the only job in the world you can, based on failure, that you can get paid for. 2, Yelich, like I said, man, he was out there grinding it out, trying to give everything he had. But when you're injured and hurt, there's a difference between being injured and hurt.
Yeah.
Injured is, I know, because I've had so many shoulder surgeries and, trying to throw or not throw and save, those 5 or 6 throws that you might have to make for game time, you know what I mean? And preparing yourself that way. So all the extra stuff that people don't see that you have to go through and do just to get out there, I think, they just think you wake up and they see you run out there. They don't understand you've been there since 2 o'clock, right. Trying to get the body right so you can prepare to play. I think Yelich is going to be back. He's going to, like I said, man, he's one of the best, and he's even a better person. You know what I mean? And I always root for people that are good people. He's a good man. And with counsel, like I said, I believe this game is meant to be played and taught by guys that have played baseball. And, with the coaching staff and, counsel leading the way, I think they will always be right there. It's nothing against analytics. I just think it's a way that you can consume both of them or emulate both into one and be successful. I don't think it has to be analytics and all the ex-players gone because, they don't want him around. And I think, you look at the Brave staff. I mean, they probably had more experience on that coaching staff, than you go back to the Yankees and the Dodger teams and all those guys that, those organizations that won. I mean, even in the minor leagues, I mean, I had Ben Ogilvy, I had Cecil Cooper. I had guys that played the game teaching me how to play, teaching you how to move a runner over, teaching you how to, take advantage of certain opportunities. And it's sad that, so many ex-players, I mean, I was doing another podcast and I'm like, Barry Larkin is probably one of the best infielders I've ever seen in my life. And how he's not involved with the infielders is mind-boggling to me. You know what I mean? And not only was he an infielder, he's Hall of Famer. I mean, he's in that special place, and it's just sad too, especially too for, like I said, people of color. And I know people don't want to say the race game again because it is what it is. You know what I mean? But we don't get those opportunities. We don't get those calls to be special assistants. We don't get those calls to, not have any experience and then jump into a managerial seat. We don't get those calls for any of those things, and it's disappointing. It's disheartening. So for Ron Washington, and I was happy as heck for him to be able to, finally get a ring and continue to be one of the best infield instructors around.
Yeah.
And me and Lark were talking about the other day, man. It's I would love to be back in the game trying to help and teach, and he would love to be back in the game giving his input. I mean, but they only allow certain people back in the game, man. They don't allow all of us, and they don't. And I don't know why, that is, but it is what it is.
Could you see yourself being a coach with, like, if Vegas gets a team or Sacramento got a team? Could you see yourself jumping back in, whether it's like infield coach, like you said, or even manager of the team?
Well, I think manager is probably way out because I'm old now. You know what I mean? And when you haven't, I haven't been in the game, but I think I'm a leader. I think I love baseball. I love teaching it. I love talking about it. I love being around it. And as long as we could be ourselves, and I think that's what they're scared of. That we're going to come in with these strong personalities and try to disrupt stuff. But, what's hard is not just for us, because we made it, we played, and we made great money. But can you imagine being one of the only players of color, and not having anybody on your staff to be able to relate with you as a man of color? Yeah. I mean, who do you go to? Where do you go? I know, I get it. No, you don't. It's different. We have different things that happen in our lives that don't happen in other people's lives. And so it was fortunate that I came in an era where every team had 5 or 6, players of color. And whether you're on the other team, from Mr. Whitfield to Joe Carter to Kirby Puckett to Ricky Henderson, all those guys. I mean, they put their hand around you and teach you, and I would hate to be a player and not have anywhere to turn. I'd have to get on my phone to try to talk to somebody that understands what I'm going through. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So maybe so. And like I said, I'm not playing this race card. I'm not playing baseballs this way or that way. I'm just saying it is what it is. It's the truth. That's, we don't get the broadcasting jobs. We don't get, you know what I mean? And you're in the Hall of Fame. It's so, baseball's not one of those other sports, where you see football that, they're always getting former players back in the game, and keeping them involved, and I think it makes it exciting because we know what it's like to struggle. We know what it's like to have success. And we know what it's like to play hurt or play injured. And, I think coming from a player, it gives it a different perspective. Not knocking any other broadcasters because there's so many great broadcasters that weren't players. So I'm not taking anything away from them. But I mean, every team has their own local network now. There's another local network. And then, I mean, there's so many ways to still be in touch and involved with it. But they choose who they want to. So, and that's fine.
Yeah, you have a great night on your shoulder. Do you ever thought about having a podcast or maybe a TV show?
Have you ever thought about having a podcast or a TV show?
Should I do enough podcasts? I'm thinking about. I have enough on my plate now. I'm at, I have a store. I'm at my hyper wellness center right now. As you see me taking off my IV thing, and I have my own wine now. I have my foundation, so I have a lot on my plate. But yeah, I could see myself trying to start a podcast, add something else to my plate. But I don't want to, But like I said, it has to interest me. I have to really want to do it because speaking of that, here comes, some of the Raiders that are just coming in my place right now. You know what I mean? Big win. So, I'm happy for the boys, so
yeah,
they're going to the playoffs. So for me, it's exciting to still be able to give that way. And also, like I said, in the wellness center industry with COVID and all this other stuff, we're able to make a difference in society and make a difference in my boy. Make a difference in society and try to create a healthier environment for all of us. You know what I mean? Whether it's cryo, stretch, compression, the IM shots, the infrared sauna, red light, whatever it is, to be able to keep people healthy and get us out of this pandemic. You know what I mean?
Your brother was Vaughn, who was another great player. What was that like growing up with like two great baseball players in one family? Was there a lot of competitiveness between you two, or was it like you guys both did the thing?
Well, not brothers, cousins. Not brothers, but cousins. So but my family too had my mom's brother Ricky Reynolds, same little league team. He played 10 years in the NFL. We played same Pop Warner, same little league. Jerry Royster played for 20 years, managed for a bit when they let go of Davey. So I think our whole family were athletes, and I think the best athletes were the women in our family that produced us men. You know what I mean? Yeah. I just think we all pull from one another. We all wanted us to have success. You know what I mean? Like I said, man. I had two boys, and my oldest just, became a fireman after 5 years of AAA. I have another one that's trying to do it. Everyone can't do it, but once you are there, you just support them, and even on the way, you support them, and you just give them the best advice that you can give them, and hopefully it works out. And I was always proud of what Mo did, or my cousin Ricky, or my cousin Jerry, or my sons. Like I told Corey, I mean, man, everybody doesn't make the AAA. You played 5 years of AAA ball, and my little Greg, he's going through it right now, trying to battle his way, to the ultimate goal, which is the big leagues. And it's a grind, and it's hard, and it's not easy. This sense of entitlement, just waking up and thinking it's going to happen, man. Hey, the world doesn't owe you anything. You know what I'm saying? So anything you want or you have to go out and get, and when you get knocked down, those are the guys I want on my team, because if you got knocked down, and they keep getting up, they're going to fight with you. You know what I mean? It's the guys that get knocked down or something doesn't work out their way, and the parents are making excuses for them, and they don't know how to handle failure. Those are the guys I see that don't make it a lot.
Yeah.
What was a bit of advice you got, and also that you gave?
Well, I think a piece of advice I got was don't ever get outworked. Don't ever give out work. And to me, to train and to play a season, I mean, it was never work to me. It was fun. but it was something I enjoyed to do. You know what I mean? So it was, but I got up and I drove to Arco Arena at 7 o'clock Monday through Friday with guaranteed money every single day, just trying to be the best version of me every single year. You know what I mean? And, some guys with guaranteed money didn't. Some guys didn't, but the guys that didn't work, I didn't have to worry about them. It was the other guys that were working, that were threatening my livelihood and my job. And, don't ever take it for granted. It's a privilege to play this, to be able to be a Major League Baseball player.
Right.
It's an honor. It's a privilege. And don't ever take that for granted.
Right.
And that's what I tell the guys. That's what I tell the guys, when I say, hey, man, don't ever get out of work and don't ever take it for granted because, I remember Paul Malder saying, Bonnie, it goes so fast. Once again, at 22, you're thinking nothing goes fast, right? And except cars, you know what I mean? So, but after, a blink of an eye, 15 years later, it's over. You're like, wow. 39, you're like, Paulie was right. It does. It's over. It's over. And, you have to get adjusted to, the responsibility of a father, a husband, and, I don't want to say normal citizen, but a guy that doesn't go to the ballpark every day. You got to get adjusted to occupying your time with good things. You know what I mean? Because for so long, our time was occupied by a sport. Whether it was getting on a bus, traveling, a meeting, preparing for a game, our time was always taken. And then all of a sudden you have all this time, you got to be able to do productive, good things, so it's a transition period for sure.
Absolutely. We want to thank you for coming on the show today. And we want you to promote all your stuff. You were just telling us about your thing in Vegas. We want you to tell about your wines. And where can we find you on social media?
All right. Everything is Greg Vaughn 23. Everything Greg Vaughn 23 on all the handles. 23wines.com is where you can find my wine label. And, we're going to hopefully be in some stadiums this year and also restaurants, surrounding areas around the stadiums.
Awesome.
Restore Hyper Wellness Center is, the wellness part of my life that I'm trying to give back to the community, in Vegas, Sacramento, and, more to come. Also, Vaughn's Valley Foundation, during COVID, we were able to partner with Island Burgers to feed almost 800,000 people. We gave PPE, we're trying to find a cure for diabetes, so there's a lot of things, vaughnsvalley.org is another way to find me and my foundation. If you want to donate, we have our, we took 2 years off from the celebrity golf tournament and we're back on this year, April 1st. So, I'm excited to see all the boys and get ready for that. And like I said, man, just try to be the best version of me every single day. Be better today than I was yesterday. And, try to, just get out here and help my community and be a positive role model.
Absolutely. Awesome.
And about having all the way you put it, good luck with everything. Thank you so much again for having on.
Hey, thank you guys for having me, man. I appreciate it. Thank you.
It was an absolute honor, Greg.